Hello lovelies, welcome to Nailchemy. I'm Lisa Graves and today I'm going to be showing you how to create the gorgeous butterfly extreme nail. This is just the base, using all these wonderful products and more. So make sure you tune in and watch. Really good step by step for you today, guys. Right, so the first thing I'm going to show you to do is a simple way to guarantee that your wings are going to be even on both sides of the nail, because that can be quite tricky to do. So what you're going to need is a piece of paper folded in half. You're going to need a piece of card, any card will do, just so long as it's firm. Sculpting forms of your choice and a pen or a pencil. Right, so on my sculpting form, let's take that off. I've already removed the tab just so that it's a little bit more visible for me and for you on the video as well, where my side is going to start back here, because we're going to mark these points up. So I'm going to take this right into the corner on this one, and I'm going to mark this up just on the edge of this, on the crease of this paper. The edge and the corner, like this, so that when I open that up, you can see the length of that form. I'm just going to pop my form to one side for a minute. Now on here, we're going to draw the wing, just one wing of our butterfly. But what we need to do on the very far edge where your finger is going to be, we need to leave about a 5mm gap. So I'm going to bring this down and I'm going to start drawing my butterfly from here, bring it down right up to the crease in this corner. I'll explain that in a second. So usually our first wing is quite big, and then we come to a smaller wing back up into a point. So you can map it out like that. You can make your wings bigger, you can make them smaller, you can make them more defined, more separated between the two, but just roughly sketch out what you want. This can alter as we go along, but we just want a rough guide. Oh, you are also going to need some scissors, and if you have one, a white gel pen, or a gel pen of any colour that's going to show up on the forms that you're using. Okay, so we have our paper folded in half. So using my scissors, I'm going to cut along my line. Cut this out, like so. Okay, so when you open that up, this is the shape that you're going to have. Now this is why I leave that 5mm gap from the corner to where we start the wing, so that when we open it up, we've got roughly a centimetre along the top here. Now that is going to be where our finger sits. Doesn't matter if it's slightly too big or slightly too small, it will alter ever so slightly when we start popping the acrylic on. But if you were to bring it into a point up at the top, then your wings are actually going to come right into here, and we don't want that. We want the wings coming further out, because they're actually going to be dropping down the side of the nail. So I'm now going to draw around this on my card. Make sure you keep that paper pinned down. Draw around it on the card, and then I'm going to cut it out in the card. And I mean, if you're not going to be using this again, then you can just keep it on the paper. However, if you are intending on doing all 5 nails and you want all 5 nails identical, it's just a little bit easier keeping the card. Obviously the card's a lot stronger. And that way you don't, if you did the whole thing in card, you'd have to fold the card in half and it's going to lose its strength. So I always use paper just for the initial mapping out. and then I use the card just because it's firmer and it's going to hold its shape. Okay, so now we need to cut this out. Probably could have helped myself out a little bit and drawn it next to the edge. So because you've folded your paper in half, it guarantees that both sides are going to be identical. And like I say as well, if you're intending on doing a full set of them, if it's for a competition or something, it's going to give you that consistency across all of your nails. Okay, now we have our wings in cardboard. I'm going to line the centre up to this point. Make sure we're nice and central, so I can see we're central in the middle. And then using my white gel pen, I can trace around this. There we go. So now we can see where our wings need to be. Just make sure you keep that to one side. And then if you do use it again, you know where you've got it. Right, let's pop that to one side for a minute because I need to prep my finger. So if you haven't already seen my cuticle prep video, I will briefly go over this for you. So I always like to use my cuticle pusher initially to give that a good scrape. And then with my e-file, find any e-file bits. I like to use my little pointed bally bits. Just to get under there and give that a real good tidy up. Fabulous. Okay, and then with my 180 grit file, I'm going to come around that cuticle area again. Nice light pressure right into that cuticle area. And then a nice etch over the top of the nail. Okay, right, so when you are applying your forms, you need to make sure that your free edge is filed right the way down. So you can see on mine I've actually got a bit of growth going on, which is unusual for this nail. This nail does not like to grow. So sorry nail, but you are going to have to come off. We need to take the free edge off because it's not very often that a free edge grows perfectly. And you run the risk of your free edge distorting your form. Can alter the angle that we place the form onto. So by taking the free edge down, it just gives you a little bit more movement with your form, allows you to move it about a little bit better, and it just ensures that you're going to get it right. Whenever I sculpt on clients and I have to file their nails down, they're like, oh, but I've been growing them. And I always say, well, I'm doing extensions on you, so no one will know. It's fine. There we go. Free edge, big on. Okay, couple of lint-free wipes. Let's give this a good clean. That's the nail plate cleanser, Kiwi. Give it a good scrub. Make sure you get right up into that cuticle area as well. This will clean the plate, get rid of any oils. Right, so next on our list is the Nailchemy Ultra Bond. So your cleanser does act as a dehydrator as well, which is why we can got a bit of fluff on there. There we go. What was I saying? Cleanser is a dehydrator, so we can come straight in with our Ultra Bond primer. I'm going to give it a good waft, let that dry. So while that's drying, be careful not to let anything touch it. I'm going to get some of my kitchen roll / IKEA napkins out and get my acrylic out and prep my brush, get everything ready for the acrylic application. For this one, I'm going to be using Glistening Rose. There we go, so pretty. Not usually a pink kind of girl, but you're not, when we're finished with this nail, you're not going to see a lot of the exposed acrylic. We're going to be doing some painting on it. We're going to make it so pretty. So I've got my acrylic powder, I've got my monomer in my dappen dish. I'm using the Primerless liquid, and I'm using my Nailchemy A8 brush, and I love it. It's so nice to use this brush. Just make sure my brush is clean. Okay, right, so now we can move on to form fitting. Now, another good idea, another reason we like to use cardboard for this is if you're anything like me, sometimes form fitting can be a bit hit and miss. Sometimes it just doesn't go well, and you'll get it on, it might move, you might kink it, and sometimes you just get stressed and screw it up in a ball and throw it away. So you'll have to start again. Now, if you haven't kept that and you have screwed it up and chucked it in the bin along with the form, you're going to have to start the whole thing again. So by keeping that in cardboard, if anything does go wrong with this form, we can just go straight in again because we kept that on cardboard. So take the backing paper off that and split the top. So what I like to do initially is just connect my end wings like that, just hold the form in place. It makes it a little bit easier for lining the form up. So I'm going to pop this nice and snug under the free edge. And what we need to be looking for, I'm just going to attach that to my finger a little bit. What we need to be looking for with this shape is that our form is coming straight out like this. Straight out from the center. We don't want it coming up and we don't want it coming down. Now usually if you've got your free edge still on the nail, it kind of forces the form to come down like this, but we want it nice and straight like that. So I'm just going to gently attach it to the finger just to kind of hold it in place, because what can happen as we're closing the form and pinching this tighter and getting a real nice tight pinch on the form, it can alter the angle of the form. It can raise it up, it can pull it down, so you need to be careful. So I'm going to close the next two wings. So the form's still open on the end, but now we've got our two wings of the form closed like this. Now very, very carefully, usually on a client, I will close the form with both of my thumbs so I know I'm adding the same amount of pressure. Obviously I can't use both thumbs on myself, so I need to be careful when I'm closing these forms. You do tend to be more heavy-handed with your thumb than you are with your finger. So make sure you're nice and careful that you are closing this form evenly. And the end of this form, the very, very end, needs to be completely closed. You need to pinch that completely closed. Try not to disturb your white ink too much. it will happen, but we can always draw it on ever so slightly afterwards. But nice and careful, no wiping down the form, otherwise you will wipe it off completely. So if you see what I'm doing, I'm pinching up at the top and I'm slowly coming down and pinching it a little bit at a time, like that. And I need to make sure that this section of the form here is pinched thinner than the actual nail itself, because we're going to be adding product to that, and it will end up marrying up with the thickness of the natural finger. Okay, so when you're happy with the pinch, what we're going to do is check that our angle hasn't altered. Now if you look, if I measure up that lower arch, my angle is tilted down, so my form has gone down now. So I'm just going to release off my finger here and just carefully move that back up to where I want it to be. About there. Perfect. So when you're happy with that, I can then completely close these back forms and secure that nice and tightly to my finger. Right, so where did I pop my gel pen? So you can see I've just rubbed off just ever so slightly. It's fine on this side, but ever so slightly up here, I've just rubbed that off a little bit. So I'm just going to draw that back on. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is attach the nail to the form. So just using a small bead, just over the free edge, and I place this bead. Make sure you flatten the back of the bead so it's nice and flush with the natural nail, and then I'm just going to blend this down. Love this colour. It's the most beautiful soft pink ever. Now don't worry so much if your product does fall down the sides a little bit. With any other ordinary shape, that would be a problem and we'd keep pushing it back up. But our product is going to be coming down here anyway, so it's not a problem. Let that set for a couple of minutes. Now if you are a pincher, if you do like to pinch, I would recommend that you wait for this section to dry, to be almost set, and then we could give that a pinch. I'm not usually one for pinching, so I'm going to bypass that today. I'm all about having a nice tight form is going to give you that C curve. That's what I'm all about. Nice tight form. Okay, so we've attached that to there, and that's our starting point. Right, now let's have a look at these wings. So we've actually drawn our wings, and the final point comes all the way back up here. Now I'm not going to be adding acrylic here because it's going to be coming off the skin. But we've got our line all the way down here. So all we need to do, I'm not going to draw on the form, I'm just going to show you. But what we would do, where the product is going to be coming off the nail, we'll just naturally bring that down to join that line. Okay, so it's completely up to you if you wanted to work on the wing and then come back onto the nail bed, or do the nail bed and then come onto the wing. Sometimes I'll work on a stiletto, so I'll bring the product all the way down to a point and then I'll start adding product to the wings, and then I come into the cuticle section. There's no right or wrong way of doing this bit. It is personal preference. It's what you're comfortable doing. So I'm going to work as I would normally. So I'm going to pick up quite a large medium bead. Blend that to the bead that we've already added. And I'm just going to pull this product down to the tip. If you don't do this in one bead, if you end up doing it in 2 or 3, that's absolutely fine. I always say to my students, don't worry about how many beads it takes you to do a nail. As long as the end product is what you're after, it doesn't matter how you got there. make sure this comes right to that point. Keep pulling it and stretching it. Right to that very, very point. That's a very wobbly stiletto. I would not recommend leaving the nail like this for a stiletto. It's very wibbly wobbly. So what I like to do first of all is just have a thin base where I can be putting my shape in of the butterfly. And once I'm happy with the shape, then I can start looking at the structure of the nail and adding any thickness where needed. So I can now use these lines that we've drawn as a guide. So I'll show you some little tricks as well with your e-file, that when you've got this nail finished, if you think, actually, you know what, I don't like these wings, I think I want them shorter, I'll show you what you can do with your e-file to file them to perfection whilst filing both sides at the same time. Okay, so that's the small wing done. So I'm going to come in, I definitely want my larger wing to come lower down the form. Follow that line to join that up, and then I'm going to blend that in. Use your brush to smooth that out. Okay, so now I'm going to connect my wing to my natural nail. So I'm going to forget about that first line that we've drawn, and I'm just going to follow from the corner of my free edge and bring that product down and connect it so it still looks like it's free flowing. Okay, now if you're working on yourself, the next part can be quite tricky because now we've got to work on the other side of the form. So you know what as nail techs are like when we're doing our own nails, we have to get ourselves in some pretty awkward positions. Ugh. But hey, this is the nail tech life, ain't that right? So I did a hella extreme butterfly on myself a couple of months ago. Oh my god, it was like twice as long as this. And that was hard work. But you know what I didn't think about? I didn't think about the filing. Because it's okay filing your own nails if the nails are an ordinary length. It's just about okay filing your own nails if they are this length, because you can still support the side of the nail with your own thumb. However, when the nail is coming down to here and you need to file the tip and you literally have nothing to support it, that was a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work. Took me ages. It was like filing through the chunkiest nail with a buffer. That's what I could compare it to. That's how long it took me. Remember to keep all of this relatively thin. Not super, super thin. But what we don't want to be doing is adding unnecessary bulk, because ultimately this is going to be a thin nail. And I'm always the one that adds too much product. I always add too much, and this is something that I've drilled into myself over the years, that, oh, you know, if you're not sure, just add a little bit more. If you're not sure, just add a little bit more. That way you can file it off. If you add too much, you can file it off. But then I do that, and I keep adding, and I keep adding, and I keep adding, and next thing I know, I've got the biggest, thickest, chunkiest nail that needs a hella good file. So my go-to technique now is to start off not thin, but thinner, and then come back over it. So even if that means me coming over the nail twice, I've just realised I've missed a section. Even if it means me coming over the nail twice, I realise that that's going to save me time when it comes to the filing. Oh, I was so happy then. I thought I'd finished with this side, but I has not. I missed this section, look. I remember the first time I did a butterfly on my own nail, and I really struggled with it. Just this whole process, moving and being a contortionist, I really struggled with it. And the lady I was doing it with, she said, oh, you know, it will get easier. She lied. No, it has got easier, but my joints don't appreciate being moved about in directions that they shouldn't be moved about in. But hey, if you get a pretty nail at the end of it, it's worth it. Okay, cuticle area done. Okay, right, so I have the whole nail covered for what I want it to be, but we still have a little bit of strength and structure to be adding to this. Now, I'm going to give this nail a bit of a pinch, not with my pinching tool. This pinching tool in particular I find very stiff, and I don't want to end up over pinching this. So what I'm going to do, in fact, I might use my pinching tool a little bit on this section when that's dried a little bit more, just to pinch the actual nail bed. But for the rest of the nail, I'm going to pinch that with my fingers. But I need to let this have a bit of a set. Because we want those wings underneath to be super tight. They need to be so tight together that you're going to struggle getting your form out. So same again with your pinching tool. I like to dip them in my powder, and I'm just going to place this over the stress area and just let that do its thing for a minute. I really like this shade of pink, and I definitely find that this powder works slightly differently to the other powders. It's definitely a drier powder in comparison to the others. Oh, I've just realised I was supposed to pop a nail guard on so that I didn't have to soak this off. But I didn't put a nail guard on, so I'm not going to be able to keep this nail. That's slightly soul destroying. Never mind, at least I'll have video evidence. Okay, right, so I am happy with how that nail has been pinched in. This is all setting really well now. So I'm just going to give that a little dust off, just because there's some excess acrylic powder on there. Now I'm going to start looking at the structure of this nail. So you can see that my apex is already in place, but then we're coming down to a big dip. And this is because we weren't adding any structure to the nail as we were working on the butterfly. So now what I need to do is pop my bead here. And I'm going to blend this up to that apex and then blend this bead down but I'm going to be keeping this bead on top of the nail. I don't want to be adding any thickness to the wings. I'll have a look at the wings in a minute. At the minute I'm focusing on the actual structure and apex placement. So blend that bead down. So now we can see we've actually got this nail coming into play. So I can see that there is plenty of thickness on the tip here. It's just this section here that we need to add a little bit more to. Again, I'm keeping the bead on top of the nail. I'm not letting it bulk out down onto the wings. Keep an eye on that structure. And as you're stroking over the nail, I'm not sure, yeah, you can see that. Have a look at my line of light that's coming through here. I can see a little bit of something going on here. So use the light to help guide you. See that? So I've pretty much got a nice straight line apart from this section here, which is here. So I rely on my line of light a fair bit, mostly when it comes down to filing, but it can actually also be beneficial to you when it comes to applying your acrylic. Yeah, can you see the difference now? We've got a much straighter line. It just smooths out any lumps and bumps that you might not be able to see that aren't 100% visible to you. Right, so I don't want to be adding too much thickness to my wings. So I'm just going to come over and add a little bit. Making sure that when you do, you're taking it right the way to this edge. I don't need a great deal on this bottom section, just a little bit. I mean, the thing is, if you do miss a dip and it's set and we've taken the form off and you're filing it, and then as you're filing it you realise, oh, you know, there's a hell of a dip here, I didn't notice it, how did I not notice this? Just the nail off. You can come back in with your acrylic and add a little bit more. Oh, let's go this side. Oh my god, I didn't know my elbow could go in that direction. Holy smokes. If you could see the position I am in right now. Oh, breathe. Last little bit. Again, I don't need too much on that bottom section. Just a little bit. There we go. Oh my goodness. Oh. Right, I'm going to give my brush a good clean. Make sure there's no acrylic in there. If we do need to get it back out in a bit, we can do, but if we don't, at least now I know my brush is nice and clean. Okay, so I'm going to give this a few minutes to dry and then we can crack on with some filing. Okay, so this is now set enough that we can start removing our form. So make sure you've released it off the finger first. And then either with a cuticle pusher or a design needle or some scissors, what we can do is very carefully just run this along the edge, and that will, can you see, that will release the pressure like that. So you can still see that the form is attached in this section, but if we can at least get it released a little bit, then that's a good start. So same again on the other side, nice and carefully. If you are using scissors or a design needle, don't stab yourself. Right, so I've released it for the most part, but I can see that it's still attached in the center, so I'm hoping just a little bit of a wiggle. Now this should, if you've pinched your wings tight enough, this should be quite difficult to get out And that's what you want. As weird as that sounds, you actually want to have a bit of fear. If you've got that little bit of fear in you thinking, oh my God, this is going to snap, then you know you've pulled your wings in tight enough. There we go. I can get my scissors just under there a little bit more. Will that do it? Oh, maybe. Again, this is always a little bit trickier on yourself. Oh, I can feel it going. I can feel it. This is good. Trust me, this is a good sign. I was worried that I hadn't pulled it tight enough. There we go. I felt that. There we go. You can see how tight those wings have been pulled together. That's how it should be. You should struggle to get your form off. Okay, that is weighty. Right, so we haven't got a lot of bulk on this nail, so I don't need to be using anything coarser than a 180 really. So, first thing I'm going to do is sort out the top view of this nail. I want to make it look like a stiletto from the top. So coming in from your side wall, straight to your free edge. You see how I'm supporting the nail with my finger. If I was to file it like this, the nail's going to move too much. Your finger will wobble, you won't get a straight line. So if you can support it with your thumb, it's going to allow you to get a real nice straight side wall. Don't worry too much about filing the actual wing. At the minute we're just focusing on these sections up here. The rest will follow. So what we want as an end result is when you're looking at the top of the nail, it looks like a super skinny stiletto and you actually have no idea that there are wings on the side. It's only when we turn it that the wings will come out and be visible. So if you're getting to this point and you are filing it, but you are seeing your wings either side, that's an indicator that you've not pulled your form tight enough or you've put too much product on and it should file out. So use the straight part of your file. I say the straight part, the whole file is straight. Use the straightness of the file. So if you look down the side of my nail, you can see that there's a little bit of a gap here. So that little bit of a gap here indicates to me, that's my pen, that I've got bulk here. Because if there wasn't bulk here, the file would sit flatter in that section. So I'm going to focus my filing on this section just for the minute. Skinny this bit down. Keep having a little dust off so that you can see. It's looking a bit better already. Okay, I'm going to come and start filing on the other side now. Right, so I do want to get this. I don't want it into a complete point, but what I don't want is this square end that we've got at the minute. So by taking a look at the end, I can see that I've got a little bit of bulk on this side, right at the corner. So I know that when I'm filing this side, I can lean in a little bit more towards the end, and that will bring that in. So it's bringing it in a little bit. You can see I'm filing at the side. So when I start filing more onto the top, that will help bring that in also. Okay, let's give this top a file and then we'll be able to see a little bit clearer what's going on with this nail. So, around your cuticle area, just refine that up. Okay, so I'm going to file the top of this nail like this. Not going to apply too much pressure, just because I want to focus more on the angle that I'm moving at. So I need to make sure that I'm following the flow from the apex to the free edge. If I apply too much pressure at the tip, I'll end up literally filing the point of that butterfly off. If I end up applying too much pressure here, I will flatten my apex. So I need to focus while I'm filing. And if you notice at the same time, I'm rocking side to side. So what this does, it prevents you ending up with a flat spot on the top of that nail. So I'm filing the entire top of the nail all in one movement. Right, so if I give this a dust off, you should be able to see patches on this nail, especially here, this patch here, where there's no etchings on it, there's no file marks, and that's because there's a small dip in the acrylic and the nail file can't reach it. And that's not a problem because I know that will file out. I know that we've added enough product onto this nail, and I know I've still got more filing to do to get the nail to the perfect structure. If I'd filed the nail to the perfect structure and there was still a little dip, that's when I would come back in with my e-file. Right, so as I'm filing my sides, I'm going to file them up and into the centre of the nail. So I'm always filing up and in, up and over, no matter what side I'm filing. So I would never start filing down on this side. Bring it up, if you can. So this is starting to take shape now. We're still a little bit chunky down here. That's not a problem, we'll get there. Still got the wings to file yet. Still got the top to file yet. Can you still see there's a couple of imperfections? Keep having a check as well that your apex is still good, still looking fine. Make sure you support this nail as much as you can, whether you're resting on your palm of your hand or your thumb. Just support it as much as you can. The longer the nail, the more support it needs when it's being filed. Right, so this small area here, where we could see there was a little dip, that's coming out now. It's a lot smaller. There we are, that's gone now, so I know that's nice and smooth now. So I'm just going to take another look at the end, the very end of this nail. I can still see that I've got a good amount of product on the top of that nail that can come down, and a little bit either side. It's not as square looking as it was, but it's still not as skinny as I want it to be. Like I said, I don't want it to come to a needle point, but I definitely want it thinner than what it is. So I'm just going to focus my filing on that point, making sure that I'm coming all the way over as well. I'm not just completely filing on one side or filing on the other side, because what you don't want to do is end up filing through the side and then ending up with a hole on the side of your wing. Let's have a quick look at that. That's looking better. Still think we've got a bit more there. So you should be able to see the difference now from the beginning to where we are now. Okay, right, so now we're going to start filing these wings. I'm not going to worry too much about the bottom of these wings just yet, but you can see they are matched up really well because of what we did with the cardboard. So it's going to be so much easier to file them because they are matched up. So first things first, I'm going to file over the top of them. And just make sure that they're nice and smooth. And I'm looking for any obvious dents in that acrylic. And I don't see any on this side. It's all filing out nice and smoothly. Okay, let's have a look at the other side. Again, that's looking really, really smooth, and it always helps that when you're adding your second layer of acrylic to the wings, when you're really smoothing that out, and this comes back to that line of light as well. If you can see a line of light in your wet acrylic, it really helps to know that you're going to have less filing to do. But it's not a problem if you have got more filing to do at this point. Don't stress if it is really lumpy down this side. Just keep filing. If you need to get a bigger grit file out, that's absolutely fine. Right, let's have a look at the thickness of these wings. So I think we've got a little bit of thickness that we can take down either side. You need to be careful not to take it too thin. We don't want it to snap. So keep taking a little bit. Keep checking for any imperfections. And normally it's when you're at the point and you think, oh, that's thin, that's really thin, that's that's when you need to stop filing. If it breaks, you've gone too far. And you have to start again. Nobody wants to do that. Right, I'm going to leave this for now. But what I'm going to do is I need to tidy up this area, look. And I'm not going to be able to get in there with an e-file because it's so close to my skin. But I can very easily get in there with a hand file. Same again on the other side, just up that sidewall section. Just to smooth that out. See that? Just so much neater, so much tidier. Okay, right, now we need our e-file. Now, you've got a choice of different bits that you could use for this section. So you could use a large barrel piece like this. It needs to be, so long as the sides of the barrel are parallel, you'll do fine. What you don't want to be using is something of this shape where the sides of the barrel are coming to a point. So the first one I showed you had quite big teeth on it. Alternatively, you could use something like this. I know this is quite small. But it's more of a sanding band. And I think this is going to do the job perfectly. Not a sanding band. I knew what I meant. I didn't mean a sanding band. It hasn't got the teeth in it. So it's not going to be too coarse. So what we need to be doing is we need to be filing this dead flat. So our angles need to be spot on with this. So there's no point me filing it like this because I'll file this wing more than I will that one. So we need to be dead flat with it. So if it helps, you can rest your nail on a desk or just support it. And what we're going to do is we're going to run this the full length of these wings. And this is where if you want to alter the shape a little bit, you can do. So nice and carefully with this, do a little bit at a time, and then check it. So a little bit at a time, check it. A little bit at a time, check it. So what I'm actually doing at this point, I'm going to make this second wing curve in a little bit more, so it brings it into more of a point, like that. So file it, check it, file it, check it. Right, now I'm going to come from where the first and the second wing meet. Make sure I'm hitting both wings at the same time. Try not to press into it. If you press into it, you'll end up making mistakes. You need to let the E file do the work. So we're just gliding over the top. So you really can alter the shapes of these wings. Just take a little bit off at a time. Just going to use the corner of my E-file here just to carve in, so I end up with more of a definite break between the two wings. So make sure you take that right the way through into the back wing as well. See how this is coming together now? I think I want to make this a little bit more prominent. I quite like that, how it like definitely cuts in. Just make sure you're careful with it. Make sure you're taking it through to the back wing as well. Right, how's that looking? It's not looking too bad, is it? Other way. Right, I'm just going to give this a little refine in that corner with the hand file. Right, so what we can do now that we've filed these edges, where's your metal file when you need it? I've still got a lot of stuff packed up from moving salons, so I still have a lot of boxes to unpack. So much kit. I'll let that out there. Right, so now that we've filed the bottoms and we've given ourselves some flat edges, we can now have a look at the thickness of these wings. So you can see, I hope you can see, this wing has definitely got thickness here, maybe a little bit too much thickness. Whereas when I look at this wing, it's not as thick as this one. So I know that I can take that in a little bit. Just remember, we've still got art to add on top of this. We've still got layers that are going to be going on top, and it is going to bulk the nail out. So if we can remove any unnecessary bulk before we start adding the art, then it just makes sense to do that. Fabulous. Right, let's give this a real good dust off. I'm going to wipe over with some cleanser as well. That way I can have a really good look at the nail and decide if I need to do anything else with it, if I need to go back and add any more acrylic, or if I need to come back and do any more filing. Okay. Right, so I'm happy with the structure of this. It looks good from the side. The wings are nice and thin. We're looking like a stiletto from the top. Really happy with the shapes of those wings. Nice and pulled in tight. Excellent. Right, so I'm really happy with this nail for now. So, there we have it. This is our butterfly nail. So I am going to be doing some art on it, but I'm going to do that in the next video. But I hope this has helped you. If you've got any questions, make sure you pop a little comment down below. Happy to help out with anything that you may need. Sweet, that isn't it? I can't wait to get this all designed up. Yeah, so give this video a little like, give us a little thumbs up down below. Any comments, any questions, any product inquiries, just give us a little comment and we'll get back to you. And also make sure you click that subscribe button. I think it's up in this corner. Click subscribe, and that way when the next video drops, which will be all the artwork for this beautiful butterfly nail, you'll get a notification and you won't miss out, and you'll get to see it, and then you'll get to recreate it, and then you'll get to have a beautiful butterfly nail on your finger just like me. Brilliant. Right, thanks for watching, guys, and thank you for being an alchemist.